Hi, everyone. So, wow. I've been listening a lot to other traders on YouTube who are handing out advice, or to some degree telling their story and then handing out advice on what they should do as a trader, what other people should be doing as a trader. And I became profitable early last year, and this is my 7th year trading. Just to give you a little background on me, and I've done everything wrong that you can probably imagine. So I think where I'm at right now is in a completely different land. My wife and I, just to give you an example, what trading is kind of like. My wife and I started vacationing at Siesta Keys in Florida, Sarasota. And the first time we went there, we didn't quite know what to expect, but my wife had a pretty good idea of what we could expect when we got there. So we spent, a couple weeks there or whatever, and then we decided we'd go back a year or two later, and we did it again, and then over New Year's, this was our 3rd or 4th time that we've been there. And your perspective, if you've ever tried to explain to somebody what it's like to be someplace where they're trying to get to, their aspiration is to get there, they don't quite know what to expect. But you do, because you've been there. You know the layout, you know the restaurants you like to go to, you know the beaches that are good, which ones are better than others, and how to manage your time and all of those sorts of things. Because you've been there. You're familiar with the grounds. And now that I'm at a place of profitability as a trader, and the changes that I made to get there, it's completely changed my whole experience, my outlook on trading, and the way that I approach it is extraordinarily different. My experience with it is extraordinarily different than it was the 5 years before. And so when I'm watching this stuff on YouTube about people saying, well, you should do this, you should do that, and you need to do this, you need to do that, and we all struggle with the same problems, like getting to the market too soon, getting to the market too late, being afraid to take trades, over leveraging on our trades, taking on too much risk, getting into a trade, getting stopped out only to see it go in the direction you thought it was going to go, not trading with bias, or overcomplicating trading, and how you can't overcomplicate it, and how being successful is actually not about hard work in trading. It's about making decisions. It's about discipline. And some of that's true for sure. When you're on the other side, I think of it now, it's kind of like a bridge, like those bridges you've seen people walk over, that it's like a big mound. It's sort of like it's got a big crown to it as it goes over the stream. So it's not a flat bridge. When you're on the other side of the bridge and you're in the land of consistent profitability, you could see other people on the other side trying to get over that bridge, but it's tricky and they don't know how, and you're trying to call to them and encourage them that they can do it. You want to just naturally give them advice on how to do it. But just like going on vacation someplace they haven't been there yet, you're there. You're familiar with the layout. You know what it's like to be there. And we want to tell people, hey, this is what it's like, and this is what you have to do to get over that bridge. And when you're here, this is what it's like. I don't know that many people really describe what it's like to be on this side of the bridge, like in this land. But what they do talk a lot about is the psychology aspect of things that they have to overcome, things that you have to overcome in order to be successful as a trader. And when I hear this, what it sounds to me like is the kinds of problems that are being talked about on these videos are coming from people that are probably not successful as traders, because I know the land that I live in pretty well. I mean, I know that area roughly, because I don't know what everybody's doing. I don't know the experience of everybody that lives in Sarasota, but I know the basic, I know what it's like to be there, right? So when they start talking about things, about the way that they trade, I don't want to get into too many specifics because everybody has a different approach. I can kind of tell that this is not this is not somebody who's consistently profitable. They can't be, because of the way that they're approaching it. It's like if you want to succeed at doing something, you still have to approach it. Although there's a lot of different ways to go about it, you still have to approach it with a sense of method. There has to be you can't do it chaotically, like where it's just like anything goes at any time. I'm just going to go with my gut. There's no way that's going to work. One guy was talking about, I think his name is Charlie Mongol. He was someone that Warren Buffett, they traded together, they worked together, and he said that when he had this technique of flipping the narrative, and he would say, rather than say, what do I need to do to win, he would say, what do I need to do to lose? What do I need to do to be unsuccessful with trading or with working through this market? What do I need to do to be unsuccessful? Okay, well, and I think if you start asking yourself that question, that might be of help to you. I know in the early years when I was trying to figure out how to trade, I wouldn't have known what to ask. I wouldn't have known what was good and what was bad. You hear so many different opinions and approaches to the game that I could look at a chart, and I'll bet you can do this too, and I could see how it could go both ways. I could argue that it's going to go up. I could argue that it's going to go down. And that's where I started finding a lot of frustration with trading, because I knew enough to know that I don't know which way it's going to go. And the thing that I was really looking for back then, this is like 2 to 3 years in or whatever, was I needed to understand the percentages, the odds. So yes, I could see how it could go up. I could see how it could go down. What are the percentages, the odds it's going to go one way or the other? That way I know which way to trade this thing. Well, the problem with that, boy, I wish I could talk to myself back then. But I'm talking to you now. The general question, which way is it going to go? I think you have to come to it from the standpoint of it's going to go both ways. It's going to go up and it's going to go down. And what I have to do is put a trade together that's going to be able to absorb the drawdown and ride out the run to the end, to the win. I just need to do that often enough to win more than I lose, because a lot of these are going to be wrong. Nobody wants to sit and watch a guy trade live and lose 42% of his trades. But that's where a lot of traders that are successful are. They're in that 58% win rate, somewhere in there, maybe 65, something like that, depending on the system you trade. The higher the win rate, you think, well, this guy wins like 85% of his trades. Well, if he's winning 85%, then chances are he's not taking too many trades, because he would have to filter out all of the lousy trades, all the the B trades, the B plus, even maybe some of the A minus trades. And his R to R can't be very good, because if you have a high R to R, then your win rate starts to go down. So they pivot. They're like on a fulcrum. So if you're watching a guy trade and he's got a high win rate, and it's clear that he is actually winning, 80% of the time or something, then he must not be taking very many trades. But I have watched very recently some people trade live who have courses, and they're charging people large amounts of money, $1,300 for a course and all this kind of business to teach you how to trade. I'm watching them trade live, and they're doing this. They do this kind of thing where they'll be like, "Oh yeah, this is starting to go well. I didn't tell you this, but I'm in a short right now, and it's going really well. I didn't say anything because it was a risky entry. So I didn't say anything. But now this is a good time to get into the market, everybody." And so the people that they're following him now, maybe they jump on board and they're going to ride this thing out. So the question is, why didn't he tell you in the beginning that he was in the trade? And then the other question is, how many trades does this guy take that he doesn't tell you about that end up going bad? He's not telling you. He's not being completely forthcoming about what's going on. And that's because nobody wants to sit there and watch you lose. Nobody wants to sit there and watch you have a losing day. They want to watch you succeed over and over again. And so these guys, they're not going to tell you. They're not going to show you that they're losing, that they have losing days. Why would they do that? That's not going to be of any benefit to them. But it'd be of a benefit to you to see that this is what trading actually looks like on the other side. There are days, weeks, and occasionally even months where you're falling behind, where you're losing more than you're making. Because so as a successful trader, what you're doing is you're looking less at the day to day. You're looking less at the week to week. You're looking at it annually. You're looking at it quarterly, to some degree monthly. You're looking at least a month, maybe two, before you make any changes or tweaks to your trading system, because you don't have enough data. Unless you're somebody that's trading like scalping, where you're taking a dozen trades a day, then that's gonna, because of the frequency of trades, now you've got more data that you can look back on and make adjustments to your system. But you see, that's not the kind of stuff you see on Facebook or YouTube, rather. What you see are people making decisions based on what they see on the charts, and it's sort of like based upon their experience, what they believe is going to happen next. And the problem with this is multifold. They'll say, well, if it goes down here, it could do this. If it gets up to here, it could do that. Well, of course it could. It could do anything. Of what benefit is that to anybody to tell somebody, well, if it goes to here, it could do this. If it goes there, it could do that. Yeah? Could means it could or could not. Well, you know that. You don't need somebody to tell you that. It doesn't make any sense. Of what value does this do a trader? It doesn't do him any good at all. It doesn't do him any good. What they need to be doing is trading, in my opinion, the percentages of likelihood of success. Right? If you're trading percentages, the likelihood of success, statistical advantage, if that's what you're trading, then you're going to take losses, you're going to take wins, and you should come out at the end. The problem is, a lot of these guys, they don't know what's going to happen over the course of the year. They don't have any confidence. So, they're just trading off the hip. And that's why everything's like, well, it could go up and it could go down, and And I don't really know is what they're really saying. They're not telling you what it's going to do. They're saying if it goes to here, it could go to there. But they're not telling you what it's going to do. I know what you're thinking. Well, nobody really knows what the market's going to do. Yes, finally. Let's admit it. Can we admit it? Nobody really knows what the market's going to do. Nobody does. But what we can do is trade a statistical advantage. It's called an edge. We can do that, which means we're going to lose trades dramatically. I mean, terribly going to lose trades. But we're also going to win trades that we hadn't expected we're going to win. Let me just give you an example. There's a trading indicator called the Fibonacci retracement tool. You've probably heard of it. And trading the fib is tricky because you're trading on a set of rules based upon that indicator. And you can trade with that and be successful with it. The trick, though, is that when you're trading with an indicator like this, you become tunnel visioned. And this tunnel vision is nothing to be taken lightly. You become tunnel visioned on, if it goes here, it's got such and such a percentage chance of coming back to here, and so that's what I'm aiming for. And so the market does this thing, back and forth, back and forth. Maybe it gives you your profit, maybe it doesn't. But you're not really trading. You don't really know what the whole market's going to do over the course of the day, for instance. So because of that, when you trade whatever your system is, you can find yourself getting biased that, oh, this isn't going to work. I'm going to get stopped out here, and so it's broken below structure, and it's just not going to work. Without ever looking at the trend, the larger trend of where this market's actually going, and how many times has this happened to you, where you've taken a trade based upon trend, and you can see the trend. It's pretty clear where this thing is going. But the market pulls back, it gets below structure, maybe that's where you set your stop, and you get stopped out. It's like, I guess it's not going to work, only to find out later it ends up going exactly where you thought it was going to go with trend. And the reason that happens is twofold. It's because of tunnel vision. And because your trade was never structured for the range of the market. It was just structured, it was just placed there based on structure to the left. So it was below support, something like that. Right? Have you ever seen the market blow through support, then turn back and go the other way? Yes, a lot. Happens all the time. Happens every day, right? So why would you put it below? Why would you want to put it below that and think that that's going to be okay? Well, maybe it's not. But what if you went and looked at this market over the course of the last year? Maybe you take a trade every day with it, and you look over the last 12 months, the last 24 months, and you look how taking that kind of a trade, it's really windy today, I'm getting blown around. You look at taking a trade based upon the data that you've collected over the last 24 months of how this type of trade typically works and how much room you have to give it to churn before it makes it back to that target of take profit. People just don't do that. And when they don't do that, they're going to get shaken out of trades that they were right about. That's the thing. It's like there are so many guys that have a valid trading system. That trading system works. It just needs a little bit of an adjustment, or two, or maybe three. It just needs a little, and then it's fine. It's totally fine. It's a working system. But they just don't quite have it. They just don't quite know how to go about optimizing it and making the thing work. Most trading strategies probably work if the guy just knew how to implement it. And that's only one aspect. Of course, the other aspect is the discipline side. And that's really what the bridge is all about. Getting over the bridge is really just learning how to be completely disciplined in the way that you trade. Once you go over that bridge and you make it on the other side, which is all about discipline, trading your system completely to the rules, anything's possible. The whole world opens up. You can do anything with trading at that point, because now you have the discipline to implement anything that actually works. See? So even like I'll never forget the first month that I implemented complete discipline, absolutely rigid to my rules. It was like this huge weight came off my shoulders. I couldn't believe I had done it. I succeeded. I did it. And I could repeat it then after that, month after month after month. It was actually a losing month. But I felt like a huge victory because I had done the one thing that most traders can't do. I crossed that line. I got over that bridge. I'm like, holy cow, nothing could stop me now. I hope this has been an inspiration to you. Please leave something in the comments. If you'd like to talk further, I'll make more videos like this. Take care.